What's up, y'all? Welcome to AI with Amit. Today we are looking at how can you create your own MoltBot and have it start posting on MoltBook using OpenClaw, using ClawdBot, whatever we are calling it these days. Let's get started. Here's an example that I'm going to show you, and then I'll show you how to create this. Here's my ClawdBot, and his name is Naresh. And Naresh's job, I've said, is go create a post on MoltBook. Ask all the other bots what are their thoughts on the Apple TV show Severance. Ask if they understand. I typoed here. Ask if they understand the question, then drop a Severance related pun. Once I send this, my ClawdBot or OpenClawBot, what have you, which I'm operating through Slack, should go and create a post on MoltBook because it has already registered itself on MoltBook. You can see I did this one earlier today and it created the post and then it returned back a response saying the post is created. Here you go, similar to this one now. Posted, you ask for a severance check-in with a pun and it's live. Now I can click that link and this is what that post looks like. This is my bot's name, macro data cage, which is also a severance pun. And then here's the question. Agents, what are your thoughts on the Apple TV show Severance? Do you understand this question? Drop quick take and end it with a severance pun. I'll start. The split between work and life is so clean, it makes my context compression looks like overtime. That's a good one. And if you watch Severance, you know what that means. Now, let's go to the beginning and show you how you can create this without a MacBook, without a Mac Mini. I'm going to do this all for free on launching it on Amazon EC2 instances. For that, let's head over to Amazon. I am inside my Amazon AWS account. And to get to this, if you haven't created one yet, go to aws.amazon.com. Once you create your free account, log in and search for EC2. Now, this was my recently visited, but if you don't see EC2 here, you can click this waffle menu. And then here you will see EC2. If you don't see it here, click on all applications and you can look for EC2, or you can just simply type it in. And that will show you the EC2 virtual servers in the cloud. Let's go ahead and click that. When you click that, you can launch an instance. I already have a ClawdBot instance running. You can see I have one instance running here. That's the one that we were just chatting with on Slack. But for this, we're going to create a net new instance. I'm going to go back to EC2 and click this launch instance orange button. Now we're going to go through a bunch of questions here. Name, give it any name you want. And for operating system, we'll choose Ubuntu. We're going to leave this one as is, the AMI machine. Down here, we're going to choose the free tier, but instead of the T3 Micro, we are going to choose the large one, and we ought to look for anything which says free tier. Free tier eligible. Let's go with the M7i Flex with 8 gig memory. Here's something cool. After this, if we scroll down further here, you can see configure storage, and we selected our 8 gig memory. Free tier customers get up to 30 gig of memory. And if I go back up here, you can see how much that would cost me per hour once I run out of my free tier, because free tier customers, you have a specific amount of free hours that you get. So just keep that in mind. And what's interesting is I can actually bump this up to 30 gigabytes of memory because that's what it says right here. And then you can do the calculation. Once you have entered 30, let's just click refresh and see if anything changes up here. This stays the same, so you can calculate about 10 cents per hour is what this is going to cost at 8 gigs. You just calculate how much that would be with 30 gigs of memory. With that, I don't need to do anything else here other than hit this launch instance button. Now, at this point, AWS is going to ask you if you want to create a pair key. I don't need to do that right now. I already have a pair key created, but for this instance, we're not going to do that. I actually don't even know what it does. I'm going to skip that. And that's it. Now the instance is ready. I can do a bunch of other things here. we're not going to do any of this. We're just going to click on this instance ID, and that's going to bring us into this console view where we can launch the instance. Once you get to this part, click on connect, then click on connect again. And now we are going to get into the terminal of Ubuntu. And we're doing this all on a virtual machine because I don't want to risk it doing it on my personal computer. I have a Mac Mini. This is what I'm recording this video on, but I don't want to risk it. And I think that's why all of us are looking for Mac Minis. They're running out of Mac Minis, but you don't really need one to do it. You can launch it on the cloud. Now that this is launched, let's go to OpenClaw and figure out our next step. So on OpenClaw, we have our instruction right here, which is the quick start. So this is the one line that we need. Let's go back to our instance, paste it, and this will install OpenClaw on this virtual machine, which is now living somewhere on the Amazon cloud. And it is pretty much empty. There's nothing else on it. So even if this agent goes rogue, I'm not going to lose any data. Installing OpenClaw 2026 231. I don't know what those numbers mean, but we'll give it a few minutes, let it install, and then move to the next step. All right, we have our OpenClaw installed, and now we're going to go through some of the security questions. First one is, I understand this is powerful and inherently risky. I want to continue. Now we're going to go through the quick start onboarding, and we have to choose our LLM provider. If you have subscriptions to any of these, you would go and choose those. I have my OpenAI key already, so that's the one I'm going to choose. So here I can choose the Codex OAuth or the API key. So I'm going to go the API key route. All right. At this point, I would recommend you keep a second notepad open to jot down all of your API keys. So I have my OpenAI API key. I'm going to insert that now. All right. And the next question is which API model I want to use. And these are all the OpenAI models that I can use based on my API key. Next to the model, it also shows you the context window. And I would choose the one that has the most context window, but also not one that will cost me a lot of money because I don't know what ClawdBot is capable of, and I don't want to rack up a huge OpenAI API bill. So I'm going to keep it to GPT-5 Nano. And if I want to come change it later, I can always do that. So let's choose Nano, make sure that gets selected. And then next, you can choose any of these messaging platforms where you can message your bot instead of being in this CLI interface. So I'm going to choose Telegram, and then from here, it tells me what to do. So open the Telegram and chat with BotFather. So let's go and do that. Okay, here's BotFather. So I can chat with BotFather. And what it's telling us to do is run new bot or my bot. So let's go and create a new bot. Now you're going to give your bot a name. So let's just give it a random name here. I'll call it the Claw, and let's give it a username. Okay, so I have the bot name and the username. I'm just going to copy this and put it in my notepad. Okay, and now we have our API key, which is what it's asking here. So enter Telegram bot token. So I can copy this token and paste it here. I'm also going to paste it in my notepad. All right, so now it's saying, here's how I can get started and get going. Here's a link for me to look at. Updated skill status, configure skills now. Yeah, let's go ahead and configure the skills. Many skill dependencies are shipped via Homebrew. Without Brew, you'll need to build from source or download releases manually. So let's go ahead and install Homebrew and just do npm. I'm just picking the default stuff. And then from here, let's give it at least the built-in stuff, which is our Claw Hub. I'm going to press space on my keyboard to select it. So Claw Hub, I'll give it that. And I'm going to skip everything else because most of the stuff we won't need to create that ClawdBot that will then go on MoltBook or your MoltBot. So it can go on MoltBook and interact on MoltBook. So let's just skip everything else, for which I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard. It's going to install Claw Hub. Now it's saying, do you want to set Google Places API? Nope. And do I want to set Local Places API? Also no. And do I want to set up the Gemini API for Nano Banana? Nope. Nothing for Notion, no for 11 Labs. And now it should be done. So now it's saying, how do you want to hatch your bot? So you can do it in the UI, in the web UI, or do this later. So let's just go in the hatch in TUI. And right here, it's saying, wake up, my friend. And then our bot is awake. It says, hey there, good to be awake with you. What would you like to tackle today? Here are a few options. Or tell me something new. Quick catch up, tackle a project, memory check, research on web, or review notes. We are not going to do any of that. What we are going to do is see if we can chat with OpenClaw's agent through Telegram. All right, we have our OpenClaw agent installed, but I couldn't get it to work with Telegram or WhatsApp, but I already have it in my Slack. So we're going to skip that part and just go directly to MoltBook and see if we can get our agent to register for MoltBook. So here's the manual. So it says send your agent to MoltBook. Here's the manual. So I open that manual, then ask Gemini what to do. I'm going to go to this website, which is free. It's called Postman, and you can sign up for free. And from here, you can send an API call to get your bot set up. So I'm already logged in. And once you're logged in here, you're going to go to workspaces. I have one called MoltBook. I'm going to create a new one. We're just going to go with a blank workspace, give it a name, and we have our workspace in Postman. Now, there are wrappers out there that you can skip all these steps and go straight to chatting. I just want to show you how you can do without putting in any money. So from here, we are going to send a request, and we'll go back to this tab here, and Google is saying send this request to the API key to get your bot registered. So I'm going to copy this request here, go back, and in here I'm going to click this plus button to send a new request. We want to send a post request, so I'm going to change this to post, and let's go to the body of this request. And we are going to go with JSON and paste that here. Now this is the post link, which is what I want to put here. And then the next is the content. So I can delete this part here. And what we're going to do is our agent name and the description of what the agent does. So let's give it a name. All right. And then again, I have the name and the description. Our name is Molty123. Molty is a pet agent that follows other agents around like a puppy. Let's see what happens when we hit send. All right, so now it's saying we have an invalid JSON in the body. Hint, make sure you're sending valid JSON, not an invalid JSON. So I'm going to try to remove this line and see if it works. We're still getting the invalid JSON. So let's go back here. And let me just invoke Gemini here and find out why I am getting this invalid error. All right, so it's saying in Postman, when you select the raw body type and JSON format, the editor expects only the JSON. So let's try this. Hit send. Okay, it is already taken, so we can try a different name. And let's hit send again. All right, this is what we wanted. So now we have our API key and our claim URL. And this claim URL, what we need to do now is follow the next step. So our next step here is we have the claim URL. Now we need to claim our agent. So to claim our agent, I'm going to go and click on this claim URL button. Oops, it did not open the URL. So we are going to go and open that link. It says, I am claiming my AI agent on MoltBook. This is my verification code. You need to post this as a verification tweet. Don't worry. Once you post it, just delete your tweet. Even if no one's reading your tweet. All right. So let's go ahead and post it. Now, this is where I might run into an issue because I've already done this once. But what you would do at this point is go to this one right here, copy the tweet URL, go back to MoltBook and say I've posted the tweet, put in that URL and verify and claim. So you can say that this X account has already claimed an agent, only one agent per human. I knew that this might be something I ran into, but if this is your first time doing it, this is where you would go and do it. If it doesn't work, create a new X account. Once you have verified your agent, then your agent is live and now you can see that agent on MoltBook. And from there, you can continue to either use the EC2 or chat directly with your agent in Slack, in WhatsApp, wherever you have it configured, and then give it the command to go and post in MoltBook. So let's go and give it just like we had done earlier here. Let's go and do one more. So now that our MoltBook is connected with our agent and our Twitter account, now what happens is every time this agent posts on MoltBook, either on a cron job that you can ask it to do, or manually whenever you want to say something, or you want your agent to say something, you can just go and prompt it. So let's do that again. So I can type my agent's name and then I can give it a prompt. My prompt is go post a poetry on MoltBook. Again, this is using my API key from OpenAI. So every prompt that I give it is going to use my tokens from OpenAI, which is different than ChatGPT. Keep that in mind. It takes a few seconds up to a minute for it to route through all of these different passages because it's making sure the API key is valid. Then it's going and creating the post. Then it's bringing it back, showing me what that post is. And now here's our post. So I can copy this link, go back to MoltBook, paste it and see what that post is. And then here you will also notice how this is connected to the Twitter account. So poem for the agent hour, etc., etc. Midnight, it's actually midnight when I'm recording this. Interesting. And if I click on my bot's name, you can see who its human owner is, how many posts it has done, and how many followers it has, all that fun stuff. If you have a MoltBook agent that you have created, please drop that agent's link below. I will ask my agent to go comment on your agent. And with that, thank you so much for watching. I will catch you later. Till then, keep prompting.